Now, why would you buy a GMT watch? I've been thinking not just about GMT watches, but there's so many other types of watch where you think, well, what is the purpose of getting that kind of level of features that you're never really going to stretch it that far. You never needed to dive down 300 meters. Or if you know a watch has been pressure tested, it can take that. But the deepest you'll ever go is going to paddling pool, or summer, playing with your kids, or on holiday, you might dip in the sea. You might do a bit of snorkeling if you're really adventurous. If you're really adventurous, you might do scuba diving. But even then, you're not going to go down that deep. And the same with the GMT watch, which is what this review is about. It's the GECKOTA GO2. It's got a feature which, unless you need to track multiple time zones, well, what's the point of having it? Well, that's what I'm going to go into in this review, because I'll initially discuss the specs of the watch and discuss the features of the watch. But then I'm going to just philosophize a little bit as to why would you wear a GMT watch? Why would I wear one? Because I don't get in aeroplanes very much. I don't really need to track multiple time zones. But I do like to keep an eye on one other time zone. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, and why a GMT, to me, has a bit of sentimentality to it. So I'm intrigued to know about what kind of watches you've got, guys, and why it's special to you. Even if you have a dive watch or a racing chronograph, what other thoughts does it make you think, other than it just looks cool? What does it make you feel? And that is the interesting thing about buying one of these GECKOTA watches, is it's not just about the raw parts that it's made of. It's what it makes you think. So let's get on with this review. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in a minute. So guys, before I get into details about the spec of this watch, which if you've seen my initial impressions video, you will know pretty much what to expect. But if this is your first time seeing this watch, I'm happy to help and give you a recap. And the first thing I want to say is a big thank you to GECKOTA for sending me this watch for free, because they really like the videos that I do, which is greatly appreciated, and they want to support the channel. And it's really nice that there is that kind of kindness and generosity out there, and that won't be forgotten, and it's greatly appreciated. Now, I'm currently working on writing a review that will be published for this watch. Well, subject to they check over all my spellings, and I haven't written anything too disgraceful in there, but it should be okay. So keep an eye out for that, guys. I'll put a link in if that goes live, and I'd like your opinions too, see what you think. Now, moving on to, I'm going to discuss the spec first, and then I'll finish off with my thoughts about the design, the GMT function, bit of history behind that, and then we'll finish with some nicer shots with this watch, which should hopefully be included in the article, and see what you think. So without further ado, let's crack on. So let's start with the dimensions. Now, the case size is 40mm, then the lug width is 20mm, and the lug to lug is 47mm, so that's the length of the watch. The thickness is 13.5 because it has an ever so slightly domed AR coated on the underside sapphire crystal. The bezel is 60 click and it's bi-directional. It's got a nice action, very positive, and it's the same both ways. It feels really good whatever way you use the bezel, which is really nice. And that's just a traditional aspect of a bezel for a GMT watch. And as you can see, it goes up to 24-hour because you've got the extra hand here, which is for tracking another time zone. And I'll go into a little bit more detail why this watch is important to me and why I like having an extra time zone for quick reference. And it just shows how much of a sentimental guy I am, really. But anyway, you've got the dimensions there. It's a quartz powered watch, and that helps with the lightness of the watch. And the weight of this watch is approximately 80 grams, so it's lightweight. So the case, the bezel, the crown, even the bezel insert is all brushed stainless steel, and the case back is polished stainless steel. And I like that they have got the fact it's a limited run on this colorway of, I've got number 52 of 75. As you can see, the only downside with having a polished case back is it smudges up and scratches so easily. I've worn this for a few weeks now, and it does deteriorate quickly. But for the lucky winner who's going to get this watch, when I hit 2,000 subscribers, I will polish this up nicely for you, so you won't be getting a watch that looks too scruffy at all. And that's a good thing about polish finishes, it's quite easy to really bring it back to good again. And then I got this watch sent with a few different straps. I got it with this leather strap I requested. I've got a metal bracelet, which you'll see in the pictures. That's very nice. Also comes with a strap, which you can see it photographed with here. That's the standard strap. It's a little bit short for me, so I went for this strap, which is a tad longer. And this fits my 7-inch wrist, which I'll show you now. So as you can see, you can go a lot larger. There's a lot more increments to go bigger. And if you have a smaller wrist, stick with the standard strap. Definitely be fine with that. But this strap is a little bit longer. And this is one of the other GECKOTA range. And I went for this because it's more of a pilot style strap. And it's a great size for me. I'm very happy with how this sits on wrist. So now I'm going to run through the GMT function. How do you use it? It's really straightforward. You unscrew the crown. This has a screw down crown and it has 200 meters of water resistance, which is fantastic considering this is a pilot / field watch. It's not a dive watch, but it's a very good extra feature to have. The indices and the hands, they have got C3 superluminova on there, which is lovely. I'll show you Wristshot a little bit later on. So, sorry, I got distracted then. Yeah, to change the GMT function, you pull the hand out to what would normally be the date just function, and you just rotate this downwards this way. If you're going to be really pedantic, anti-clockwise, and you can only turn it, well, if you try to turn it the other way, it doesn't. So if you make a mistake, you have to go all the way around again. But that's fine. So that's effectively you aligning, you know it's nearly 6 o'clock here in the UK. You know, in the other time zone you want to talk about, it's 4 o'clock. That's it. And then when you change the time, that extra GMT hand will follow. It's a great feature. Now this is a Ronda movement, so it's Swiss made, it's well proven, it's reliable, it's going to do the job, and this has kept really good time. I've had it a few weeks now and it hasn't lost more than a few seconds, which is acceptable and it's well within parameters what you would normally get. And battery life is 45 months on one of these, so you're going to get a really good long battery life. And it's only 1.5 volt battery, they're cheap as chips. You could change this out yourself even, and if you weren't that way inclined, you only have to do it every 4 to 5 years. So that's peace of mind, and you've got reliability and accuracy as well to come with it. So I feel like I've covered all the stats and the specs of this watch. Now I'm going to move on to a little bit more detail about the origins of GMT function. Now GMT, in regards to what pilots used as a shared universal time, if you will, for recording their flight times and takeoff and landing, and it was a uniform time that was followed. That changed in 1972 to UTC, Universal Coordinated Time, UCT, sorry, Universal Coordinated Time. So GMT effectively is out of date, but that's only in the context of a pilot's watch. This, you can still always track GMT wherever you're traveling in the world. So it's still got the effective measurement of different time zones. And that is the purpose of the GMT function. And I like how simple and easy it is to use. So what I want to talk about now is what I like and what I think could be improved on this lovely watch. Now the likes are, for the fact it's £200, there is a good range of choice when it comes to the colorways. I'm just going to pop a picture up here to show you examples of the other colorways that are available. I went for this one because I just like the all brushed finish. I think it just looked quite smart, a little bit more like a tool watch. I like the fact that this isn't an homage to anything. It's got its own unique design. It's got elements of Rolex Explorer in there with the way the indices are done, but then it really doesn't look like a copy. The hands are unique. All the little design elements I like, which add to this being an interesting watch. I like the fact that it's got crown guards this side. It also replicates that little design on that side here as well. And I think that helps create symmetry with the design. And the same can be applied to the way that the logo and the GMT, it's the only text on the dial. They haven't included water resistance and anything else, and saying it's quartz, anything else like that. It's just simple, GECKOTA GMT. And that's what I like, because you can easily make these dials look too cluttered. Because it's a relatively compact size and the dial area is relatively small, it's easy to overload it with text. And they've made a good job of making the indices really striking and stand out. Legibility is not going to be a problem with this watch. And then you've got the contrast with the black hands and the black second hand there, contrasting really well with this gorgeous textured dial. I just love that as well. That adds a little bit more of a vintage theme. And it's almost like eggshell. I just think that's lovely. It's very unique. You don't see that too much. Another thing I'd like to mention is look at these hands. You can get a really good look there. They're a combination of a straight brushed finish and a little bit of gloss as well. I just like that. It's, the more you look at a watch and the longer you have it, you get to spot these nice details. I like the fact that you get the dome crystal. It gives you distortion, but not so much you can't read the thing. It's just lovely. It adds a bit of class, gives it more of a vintage feel. It's a combination of a pilot's watch and a field watch and a tall watch. It's lovely. I really think it's cleverly done. And that's why I was happy that I got to choose what watch to review, because I thought this would be a really easy watch to talk about and review for you guys, because there's so much to talk about. So those are the likes. I love the design, I love the spec, I love the price. Obviously I got it for free, but if I had to pay for it, I would still be very happy with the price. £200 is excellent. I love the finishing, it's extremely good. I like all those aspects. A few things I would like to tweak though are as follows. One, I don't like these extra little mixture of brushed and polished dots, indices here. I think that just makes it a little bit more fussy than it needs to be. I think if they ditch those little stainless steel indexes, someone corrected me on that, I'm sorry. I try to be articulate, but I'm going to slip up occasionally with describing those little dots there. They don't look like they're adding anything. If anything, I like maybe of those triangles to then here have slipped closer to the minute track. That would have looked better. And then it would have opened the dial up a little bit more. Or they could have made those triangles, so you know, the 1, the 2 and the 4, etc. They could have made them bigger, maybe. There's that little bit of tweaking. I'm sure that was debated when they were designing this watch. I don't like the polish finish on the back. I think it adds class, it definitely does. It's to break up all the brushing, but they could have had polishing on these parts here. These lovely little chamfers on the lugs here. They could have had the polishing there instead, and then had the underside brushed. Because otherwise, because you can see it's just a scratch magnet and a smudge magnet. But how often do you look at the underside of your watch? I would say, if you really love your watch, like I do, you are going to take it off and just look at it. I just sit there taking it off, looking, fiddling with it. You appreciate these details, such as I mentioned before. I love that the G is straight. You screw the crown in all the way and the G is facing the right way. It could have been like that, or it could have been like that. But no, I like it's attention to detail, which is what I like. And they are really good at getting that right with their designs. And that's why I support GECKOTA and why I was a fan and why I pestered them so much. Saying I've got a YouTube channel, I love your watches, I love your straps. I really want to support British business, British brands. I love what you do, because what you do, I know it's designed in-house. That's the cool stuff that you're going to get with one of these watches if you don't know about them already. So now I'm going to move on to, you've known the stats and the specs. I've talked about the things about the design I've noticed and a few things I'd like to change. But now I'm going to talk about why, to me personally, GMT, an extra hand on there, why that means something to me. And I'll try and keep the story relatively short, but my sister and her husband, she moved to Canada some years ago, about 7 years ago now. And obviously it's very difficult having family move so far away. I'm here 4,000 miles away in England, and they're having a fantastic life over in Canada. And my little connection, some people look at photos, some people have a little memento and things like that, but for me, a little helpful reminder of how they're getting on and thinking about what they're up to because of the big time differences. I set my GMT hand, my separate hand, sorry, my orange hand, to their time zone. So I know when I'm having my dinner, I can look and see that they're getting up. You know, it's late morning for them and things like that. And it's just lovely to have that connection. So you can have a watch which has different purposes to you. And this is the purpose this watch has for me, and I enjoy tracking a different time zone, because traveling at the moment isn't something, especially in different time zones, it's going to be very easy at the moment for a lot of people. But I have done a bit, so it's nice to be able to reflect on those good times. And remember as well, it's not just about remembering the family and friends and different places you've been by wearing your watch and setting it to a favourite place, the time zone there. It's nice as well for other people. You can have nostalgic memories of how this whole concept of displaying the extra time zone came about. And it's more of a glamorous, exciting time in the 50s when Rolex came up with the GMT Master, and they effectively worked with Pan America, to give all their pilots their GMT watch, because it was a tool for them to track different time zones. And I like that. It's just a little bit of added history behind that method of extra timekeeping, which I also find interesting. So that's why this watch is multifaceted, multi-layered, and I really enjoy that aspects of this watch. Now, so conclusion, before I do my slideshow of pictures to show you the lume and some wrist shots and things like that of this watch in action, if you will, not me going on my adventures and travels, I wish. It's going to be more just to show you how pretty this watch looks in different light. So my conclusion is, I've obviously been very positive about that watch, but I've been entirely honest. I knew this watch would be good because I liked how it looked, and my expectations were, for £200 it should be reasonably well finished, and it's above my expectations. The fit and finish is exceptional, the spec is good, and anyone who sniffs at quartz, bear in mind this is a £200 watch. It's got a Swiss quartz. The minute hand is bang on the mark, each marker. Sorry, the second hand's bang on every marker, and it is an attractive watch, and you're going to wear it and enjoy it. And if you are really bothered about things like it's got a quartz movement or this was made in China, I think it's good to open your mind, because this watch, like many other things, are made in China and made to an extremely high standard. And this watch, its soul originated here in the UK. It was designed here. The concept, people having meetings, people doing the drawings, it was creativity involved. A lot of talent and ingenuity has gone into creating this piece. It's not an homage, it's unique. And that is why I love this as well. So thank you so much for watching, guys. And I very much look forward to sharing my thoughts on another watch with you very soon. So enjoy the final slideshow of pictures, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.